Hi guys, it's me again. I made a lot of changes to the Noble Knight deck. Like I was going to play competitively this season, but I mean due to the circumstances, I cannot play like real Yu-Gi-Oh! So I decided to play this deck that it's basically non-existent because I mean you can't play this at the moment in either OCG or TCG, and it's basically a deck with a TCG ban list. So with OCG cards and a TCG ban list, I don't like to do that, but there's not much else to do. Like I have been testing Adamantia and Edlich, and they're actually fairly big competent decks for what they are. I like them, but Machina and Machine more than Machina is Machine Link, but yeah. It's super. Those decks are super fine, but there's no point. Like, there's no events. There's no point. I am fairly certain we're not going to have like a World Championship qualifier, so I don't see the point. But anyway, so I tested this deck more thoroughly and found a lot of critical things that are going to be really important once we get these cards in early August and we have actual events to play this deck on. So I broke the deck in roles rather than spells, traps, and monsters. So sorry if it's a bit harder for you to follow this format, but I think it's better. Like if you want to get better at competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, you are going to have to learn that cards have roles, and that's the most important thing for a deck building, the role of a card, right? So for example, these cards Glory and Chalice and Reinforcement and Durandal are not actual spells. They are basically monsters because their main use is basically getting me to these cards, which are more monsters, right? So yep. First we have like the old toolbox knights. These knights are one-offs that serve different roles. I mean, Arthurigo's only role is to enable 3 extenders in my deck, and I chose unexpected die, and unexpected die is really important because when you go second, you want to use this card as fodder. Like if you summon this card like, against a field of solemn cards, they are not going to be able to do anything because if they kill him, then you just summon Arthurigus and they're going to be, or this guy, and they're going to be in problem anyway. So that's why die is really important. And then Dristan its main role is to defend your cards. In this version of the deck's so fast, so powerful now. Powerful in a context of like tier 3, tier 2, non rogue. For me, rogue tier 2, tier 3 is basically the same. I make no distinction. They for me are payable decks. Like for my own definition is these are the most common tournament decks. Then these are decks with potential that could potentially do well in a tournament setting, but that they have flaws. And that's basically my definition. I actually don't like to go by that tier definition because it's so biased, and it's actually not good for you or for your growth as player. I tried not to do that, but I just use that for people to get the idea because it's way easier than using my own definition of stuff. Like I don't use tiers, like I just basically take a deck and play it against the most popular tournament decks, which in theory are like tier 1, and see if I can do well with it. If I can do well with it, then to me that's playable even if the player base says it's rogue or whatever, I don't care. Like if I can win, I don't care. So the deck's much more powerful now that you don't need this. Then we have like Eactar. Eactar could potentially be more important. The problem that with Eactar is that again, Eactar is a green game card. Like it's a conditional extender, but it's a green game card as well because Eactar gets better the longer the game goes. So, but the deck is so fast now when it goes first that you actually don't have time for Eactar to summon Eactar multiple times per game where it matters. So he's super fine still. I don't know. I could see myself running multiples of it now that we have more names to waste and that we can recycle the banish pile. But I have to test. Like I have tested this deck for more than 250 games and reached to this deck list. And yeah, I would need to play a lot with the actor in my opening hand and drawing 4 cards and see what happens. I don't know. I don't know. Could go either way, but it's fine at 1 regardless. Then we have conditional extenders, which are If you want to be more competitive, you're going to need, like I told you, you're going to need to identify the roles of card bettors. Like extender is a word that Patrick Hoban endorsed, and he endorsed it in two categories, like conditional extenders and superior extenders. Like superior extenders in Hoban's definition was like an extender you can play anytime, like you can play it at the start of your combo, in the middle of your combo, and the last part of your combo, etc. So that's it. And conditional extenders are extenders that need certain conditions to be met for them to be extenders. So the Noble Knights are weird because the superior extenders, like die, could also be conditional extenders. And these conditional extenders could also be like superior extenders. So yeah, it's a bit weird with this deck, but in general lines, I classify them as this. Constantin and Gawain are conditional extenders for me, right? The same as Brothers, because Brothers is also conditional, as it requires me to have another Noble Knight in hand, right? For it to be effective, for it to have an effect. Well, another the summoning effect. So I played 3 Gastonen and I played 3 Gawain. Then I played 6 of the starter cards, which are Bors and Medrot, perfectly. I don't think this card needs explanation. Bors is still broken beyond belief, so that's really good. Imagine this. Bors is like a contemporary version of a Spellbook of Judgment. Obviously, it's not in the same power level, like, that's not the point. The thing, though, is that, I mean, the Spellbook of Judgment is a card that shouldn't be legal under the format we have now, regardless of how good the Spellbook deck is. Uh, the thing with Boars is that when you play like 3 of this trap, it's a delayed +3. So that's incredibly stupidly powerful. Even if it's across the turns, like that's incredibly stupidly powerful. It really doesn't matter. So yeah, and then Medrow to get to Wars. And then I have the toolbox Fire Knights. Many people made the assumption and the mistake to think these cards have no synergy with the deck, and I never understood why. And I say this because the Flame Noble Knight cards have synergy with warrior strategies in general. Like, yeah, they have better synergy with the Noble Knights as they make cards like Glory way more consistent than in a Warrior Link deck, or they make Chalice more impactful, or they have access to Arthorigos to extend with Joyu and Durandal. So they have better synergy, but these cards in general have synergy with warrior strategies. Like, yeah, there's a pure fire warrior strategy with flame noble cards you could do that plays similar to this deck. The problem with that version is that it has less green options. Like, if the combo gets stopped, it's very hard to stop the combo. They need to open 2 hand traps to stop your push turn 1, which is hard. Or Nibiru. Nibiru is far more common, by the way. So the problem with that setup is that it doesn't have a green game or a backup plan, which this regular Noble Knight deck does. But definitely that deck's playable. I could show you later what I did with that deck. One advantage that deck has is that it runs at 40. Like I have talked about this to death, like 40 versus 60. 60 cards can be more consistent than 40 cards, right? That happens when your starter is in your extra deck, like here and here. The problem with 60 versus 40 is that you are not going to see your side deck cards often enough, which is really important for a competitive setting. Like, if you play like this Noble Knight Recipe in a casual setting in just game 1, you're going to have a blast with it. You're going to basically going to beat a lot of decks. I can guarantee you that. The problem is that matches and tournaments are not playing single games. They are played the best out of 3. And as such, like, seeing your side deck less than your opponent is definitely a disadvantage. Like, in theory, if your deck is so superior and so full of extenders that that in theory should carry you to have a better deck, and that should carry you to a better win ratio despite the sided cards, but still, it's an issue still. That's the same reason as why you don't see pendulum decks doing and destroying the world. Like pendulum decks are basically 40 card combo pieces with no space for hand traps, and hand traps reduce the ceiling dramatically. So it's problematic for them. So that's that. That's more or less the explanation. But let's return to video, or if not, or hence this is going to be utterly long. So we have the toolbox knights. I play like one Roland, one Mugiz, and one Ogier. I don't need more of any of them. Like if you play a more fire water based deck, maybe you are going to need 3 of Ogier. But even then, I would think it thoroughly. I would prefer to play Boars even in that version. But that's fine, super fine. Then we have the fire conditional extenders. If you look closely, these cards are very similar. Costanin is very similar to Olivier. I mean, here it says Ogier, but its name is Olivia. And the main thing is that this guy needs an equip spell, and this guy needs an equip. This guy needs a noble arm. It's way more situational, but it's more or less the same concept. And then Renault needs another monster. This guy needs another monster. This guy needs a fire monster. And this card is far more powerful than Gawain, but still it's pretty similar, pretty comparable. Then we have 3 unexpected die, which in this deck I consider them a superior extender, because it's an extender I can act that is critical to get me to my starting piece. Like it's a card I want to open the game with ideally. Then we have Shane Brigandine, which is through and through a superior extender. Then we have like drones. If you open drone and die, don't worry, it's not a dead card. Same for brothers, like you could summon like, sorry, with die, like you play die and then chain drone, like nothing happens. It's super fine. So then we have these guys. I don't like these guys, and I'm testing. Like these 5 slots are flexible slots, where you could either max like Gearfried and play 2 of these, or play 3 Adara and 2 Gearfried, or do whatever you want. Adara is important because the ideal game state for the deck is two warriors, or a way to do Isolde, and a toner. That's what you want. 2 warriors and Isolde. That's your ideal game state, right? So I play Adara to make sure I have more avenues to do that. It's super funny because Adara doesn't, unlike this card, which conflicts with Unexpected Die and Drone, this card only conflicts with this guy. Like, if I open Die, I play Die, and then I can special summon this guy from my hand anyway. Same for drones. Same for Brigandine. It's super fun. It's super fine. It's super fine. This card has synergy. Then I have more conditional extenders in Durandal. Why so? Because they search conditional extenders, right? The same for Glory. Glory can grab a combo piece or a conditional extender, but usually this is the card you're going to search. Then more conditional extenders, which are Rhoda and this, they can grab an starter card too, or a toolbox card, which is important, but they're mainly more conditional extenders. Then you use, which is a conditional extender, and then the bricks, right? I'm going to start with the easiest one. Olion is part of a critical combo you need to tramp to pass through hand traps, so he stays. I only play until Noble Arms are needed once again, because Boars, if you don't resolve Boars turn 1, it's not that important anymore. If it happens, you're going to win that game. If it doesn't happen, you are still in an excellent position. So that, and the deck can assemble so many resources after comboing turn 1 that you are not going to need the extra resources that these cards need. Like usually you're going to finish with a Isolde search, a Roland search, and another Roland search in your opponent's turn. So basically that means you're going to have Gearfried, Renault, Brothers, and by extension access to Living Fossil. I mean, in this version I cut like Living Fossil, but you shouldn't cut it. So that's the thing though. So let's count again. It's Brothers 1, Gearfried 2, Renault 3, Fossil 4. Like you have 4 more monsters to play. Like that's really annoying, really impressive though. So yep. You're not going to be needing these guys a lot. Galatine is super fine. This is a Winda out. I mean, if Winda cycles out of the meta, you can definitely, and Winda and Appaloosa cycle out of the meta, it's super fine to cut it. But as long as they are here, I think you should probably play it. I feel Dorit is the best card against like back row decks. If the format is not back row heavy, this could likely be sided. This card sucks. Caliburn sucks. It's such a bad card. Like it doesn't do anything. However, because this deck is really complex and no one knows what the card does, if you play this in a tournament setting, you're going to go to time a lot. So you're going to need this card to win in tournament settings. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's not something you ideally want to do, but it's going to happen, and this card is going to be important in winning you matches. So it stays. This card actually you can cut. I have not been using it for anything in I don't know how long. I mean, the kings were reduced to toolbox cards instead of key players, and they don't get played like every game. And if they do, usually they grab Durandal and you use back. And this card is just whatever. The deck was never meant to be played like in a way that you sit on an unbeatable monster. That was never the point. The point was trying to field as many of these guys possible and pass the noble arms to them so they have more survivability, kind of attack team. Like people never understood that, and I actually got really pissed off at the beginning when people say that it dies to kaiju. It doesn't. It never did, and it still doesn't. So, and even if it did, like we have answers for that now. So it really doesn't matter. Like that was never the point. I'm definitely going to cut this card and maybe play Living Fossil and likely add Fossil back here. This card's unneeded. It's nice when it happens, but it mainly happens with wars. I could realistically swap for the third trap, but I don't know. I don't think I need either. So it's definitely cuttable. This card's a bit better, but this again, like Akhtar and Dristan, this is a green card. I don't think I'm gonna need this realistically. So yep, and the best card in the deck, Smoke Grenade of the Thief. Actually, it's not the best card in the deck, but it's a really important combo piece. And it actually transforms your Carle into two disruptions, and one of the most powerful disruptions in the game at that. So let's say you open, ideally, like I've told you, one toner and a way to do Isolde. You search Roland with Isolde. Usually most people allows that to go, even if they have like impermanence. Only bad players are going to play infinite impermanence there. So it's going to happen. You're going to mill 4. They're going to stop your Isolde summon, and then you basically are going to summon the 5 racks with your toner, which can be like Renault, Ogier, or Adara, or whatever. And then you're going to summon 5 racks. Yeah, I mean, I skip one part of the combo. It's better if I show you off. So let me show you off. Just let me change one card because I didn't do it before. Right. Just a quick look at the extra deck. Cross, 5 racks. Basically everything is needed, bar this guy. This guy is definitely win more, but everything else it's needed. So yeah, the extra deck's really cramped. So yeah, let me show you the combo. Why I cut these cards? This card actually is good with the Rendell. The problem is that it puts a big target on Isolde. So if they have a hand trap, they are going to stop your full turn. Full turn. That's not good. That's really not good. So that's why I cut him. His ODK uses are not useful anymore because the deck can summon like a gazillion monsters by turn 3, and he really didn't come up in almost 250 games. So I don't think he's going to come up later. Same for Galahad. Bedwyr is actually a card that I could see myself playing if I play Hauteclair. Hauteclair is a card that when a card dies, when a monster equipped with that card dies, like you destroy another monster. It's definitely one of those neat cards that you can equip like to your opponent monster and then kill it and then you kill another thing. Or change the equip, or when you open like a chalice, you can summon with this guy and shift the noble arm to dictate the pace of the game or to dictate your opponent plays. I actually like this card, but its uses are really super niche and are more grindy, and the deck is not that grindy anymore. It's more streamlined now. So I wouldn't recommend it for newer players. It's definitely a card for advanced players, and even then, it's not a must play. It's one of those rotational cards. And then Lonzalin, I could see myself playing it because some combos require him, but those combos are not important, like you're playing a superior version of him anymore. Anyway, so yeah, these are maybes. If you will see yourself wanting the options they provide, and these guys are no's. They simply are not useful. And in these flexi slots, like I've told you, you could play like 3 gear frieds, or 3 others 2 gear frieds, or 3 of this guy 3 2 gear frieds. Just you can shift at your taste. So it took a good while, and I have not even shown you the combos. So I'm going to try to make the combos quick. So yeah, sorry for this longest video, and I need to work now. So I'm going to show you quickly. Okay, in this particular hand, I mean, this card doesn't matter, but this card we can draw. So we're going to put it in the bottom of the deck because it serves no purpose. Like I can't show you like the combo. So I'm going to show you 2 ways to do stuff, right? So first I'm going to show you a way with 2 warriors and a level 4 Noble Knight monster. I have to move this thing, right? So as we summon this, we normal summon like this guy, and then we normal summon this guy, right? At this time we are locked off to only Noble Knight monsters, right? But I mean, to showcase the display, it's super fine. So we do this, we summon Isolde, then we are going to add. Usually the thing you want to add the most is Roland, but it's going to depend. In this case, let's just add Roland, right? Then we're going to mill 4. Not this way, sorry. I'm gonna try to make it quick, but I don't like dueling book too much because it's too manual. So we're going to mill 4. I didn't mill, I just summoned this guy, right? God. I hate dueling book, I hate dueling book. So we have to mill like Durandal, Yoyus, Living Fossil, which I didn't play for this list, but I should be playing. So let's say Excalibur is the Living Fossil, right? So we send this to grave. The 4th arm really doesn't matter. Like you need to mill Yoyus, Durandal, and Living Fossil. Let's say this card's Living Fossil, right? So I mean, if we can draw here, we can draw, but let's not draw in this scenario. So we overlay these and brothers, and we recover this, and this. I mean, you could even put like Excalibur or something on, or Destiny on him to protect him. So it doesn't matter. Like, yep. So at this point, like, we are going to send this to grave to add Ogie. Remember that we gained an extra normal summon through Custoning. So we're going to extra normal summon this guy, and we're going to send wnat to the graveyard. And then we are going to send Yoyus to the graveyard to add wnat, right? Then we're going to special summon this guy in defense mode. And we're going to recover our living fossil. Remember that I told you that this was a proxy of living fossil, right? So this is my living fossil. And then this guy's a toner, this guy's a non-toner. Then we summon Roland. Then we activate his effect. Then we simply just play like living fossil and summon one of the materials for Isolde ideally, and then just climb to Carly, right? Well, I mean, in theory, this guy should be banished, right? Then we're going to equip Ogia to Carly, and then we're going to equip this card to Carly, right? Ideally, you don't want to draw this because Carly can grab it from you from the deck. When Carly gets equipped with this, what happens is that you can pop a card. Then you're going to pop this card, and then you're basically going to play Confiscation. This is Confiscation, right? So that's really important. So basically, they are one card down here. Like, I confiscated their hand. I already saw their hand and took their best card. They have cards in hand before their draw phase. So in the end phase, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add Gearfried. Why Gearfried? Gearfried is because in theory, Carly is going to survive. And ideally you want to mill this, but this is because of Roland's effect, right? And then you're going to equip Carly. In this scenario, you have two choices, like equip Durandal or Yoyus. I would suggest Yoyus if you have to choose, because if Carly dies, you are going to be able to drop Gearfried. However, there's also another option, which is to recover the grenade, then equip Olivier from the deck to Carly. So it's undestroyable, it's untargetable. So we already use his effect, we can pop this thing again. However, in their draw phase, we can wait to their main phase and use this guy, or we can straight out in their draw, after they draw, use this card, equip to Carly or to whoever you want, and send this to grave, and confiscate their hand again. So that's, you're trading your Raigeki break for another confiscation. Usually, decks have a hard time recovering from that, so yeah, keep that in mind. So I'm going to show you another combo quickly. I'm going to go out just to finish the video off because it's too long and I have to work. So I'm going to stack the hand to make it faster. We got it. So we play die and summon like our best friend, which is Ethorigus. Then we normal summon Boars. We activate this. We search for Durandal. We activate Durandal. Then we mill 3 for Boars. And the Queen, which is not needed anymore. But you could play like Yoyus or something. I mean, could also have just like this to search a Gawain and then 3 and then mill 3 Durandal. Because again, I told you, this is not needed. So let's say I got this, like, it really doesn't matter. Then I send this to grave to add Olivier from the deck to my hand. Then I equip Queen to boards. Or to Artoricos, it really doesn't matter. And then a special summon Olivier. At this point, we are already set up. So we're going to go to Isolde. It's important to make Isolde with the non-tuner monsters. So we summon Isolde, and then we add. Usually our opponent, if they have impermanence, they are not going to throw it on Isolde Search. So the Isolde Search is going to resolve, and they are obviously not going to play Ash Blossom here, right? So we add Roland again. Then we are going to mill 4. One, 2, 3, and you use 4. Let's say they play like Impermanence or Ash Blossom on Isolde, right? So we don't get the summon. In this case, we are going to send this to grave, go for Link Cross, summon 2 tokens. God, I hate this thing. And then we're going to send this to grave, send this to grave, and summon the 5 Rax. 5 Rax is going to summon straight from our deck Olion. Then we are going to send this to grave and this to grave to summon the Marcher. Then we are going to make Chainlink 1 and Chainlink 2. So we're going to get a level 3 token because of Olion. And then we're going to recover the Olion because of Marcher. So we have 3 and 5, 3 and 2, it's 5, right? So we can summon Roland because Roland is a generic monster. So we summon Roland, then activate his effect. Then because Roland is also a toner, we're going to make a synchro with him and the last Link Cross token. And we're going to summon this guy. This guy is going to allow us to draw a card. And then we have 3 and 6. 9, right? So we can summon Corley. Corley is going to get protection from Olivier. And that's pretty much it. We don't have a Noble Arm. I mean, we have a Noble Arms, but it's super fine to play. So we randomly play these Noble Arms. And then in the end phase, we're going to activate Roland's effect. Same standard procedure, like we mill equip. We add Gearfried. Then Carle is going to equip Smoke Grenade. And then we are going to equip him Ogier from the deck as well. So at this point, Carle is going to be able to pop the grenade as well. So we're going to confiscate their hand. But remember that they also use an Ash Blossom or an Impermanence to stop our Isolde summon, right? So their hand only contains 3 cards before their draw phase, right? So then we go to their turn, and as soon as they go into their main phase, we can banish this guy, and summon like the Desert Locusts, and they're going to have to discard another card, and then you still have a Raigeki break. So I'm fairly certain you're going to win this game. Like, there's literally no way to lose this game anymore. You basically, I mean, they started the game with only 3 cards, and then you Raigeki break a 4th one. So they have like 2 cards to play, and they have to beat an unbeatable monster. So yeah, I'm fairly certain no one is going to come back from that. So yep, that's like the main line of play this deck has now. Like, this card is kind of win more. Like, ideally, what you want to do is like summon the second Roland, which is not going to take a card of your opponent, but it's going to give you more cards to play on your next turn. So you're basically going to have like Renault. I mean, you're going to have this card in your hand as well. So yeah, you're going to have like Renault in your hand as well. Ah, God. I mean, this thing gave me an error, bro. Wow. God. And then if you free up an space, like, you can activate this, like get the card off the top. This thing gets to the grave. Like, you could even banish this. I mean, you can't banish this, but you can banish this. And then you can like summon a Actar. And then in the end phase you can like recover Durandal or your use because of Carles effect. And then you're going to enter to your turn. Look how many summons you have. Like, the first thing you can do is like summon this guy by banishing, like, I don't know, it really doesn't matter, but like, you can banish this. And then special summon this guy. And then recover this thing. Then you can pop this thing. You're going to add Olivier. Then you can summon like a Thorigos. You don't even have a space to recover stuff anymore, so it really doesn't matter. Like, even you could like get this thing to the hand and recover your use with Arthorigos, right? It makes far more sense. Then you pop this thing to recover. I mean, there's not even anything to recover, so yeah, but I mean, you could like do this, and then you can use Olivier, special summon, by sending Ogier to the graveyard. Then you can pop this to add this to your hand. Then you can play this, equip, and then pop it with Carle, so you can play Confiscation again. Then you can summon Isolde and bring back, and then you still have your normal summon. Like, you have a bunch of ways to summon. This is the reason I was telling you that Actar might not be that important, because at this point, I mean, you can basically do it, summon any amount of monsters you want, but your extra deck is so limited because you actually do need to play the Crystal Fiber, the Needle Fiber plan, the High Key Fibrax plan, because it allows you to play through a hand trap. It's like starting the game with a Cold Vitagrave. So it transforms your Durandals into Cold Vitagrave, that or your Glories and your Heritage of the Chalice and your Tonners into Cold Vitagraves. It's important. You have to do that. But you don't have that much space, and it's not needed. Like, you're going to win. Like, you confiscated like infinite amounts of cards from the hand. So Sorry guys, this video took really long, but this is the last video I'm going to do in Noble Knights until August. So I hope this is useful to you. Like, just to conclude, this deck is real. You can literally play this deck and do well in a tournament setting, which is something this deck couldn't do before. But rest assured that no matter what people say, what ignorant people says, this deck's very playable and this deck's good. So I hope you enjoyed this deck. Play it. Like, I hope you don't get too disappointed, like because you have to cut a lot of the older cards. But I mean, it had to happen. And also buy this card. This card is going to be important. It's super broken. It transforms your Corle into 2 disruptions, which is really good. And yep, that's basically it. If you have any questions or comments, you can put it in the question box. I recommend you this to, well, it's too late to recommend you, but my videos are much more impactful and much more deeper than that of the people that makes videos. So I always recommend to use them as podcasts rather than actual entertainment. And this is for people wanting to jump into competitive with a rogue deck. I usually like to play tier 1 decks, or the tier 1 decks, which I already told you I don't like that definition, and rogue decks. I basically play anything I think that can win. So I'm going to do videos on other stuff from this point on to have a variety. So then see you later, guys.